Welcome to Megazord Radio, the show where we recap and rank episodes of the Power Rangers television franchise. I'm your host, Nightster, and with me is my co-host, Riely.
I can't believe this is the end.
Yeah, this is the finale of Megazord Radio, guys.
Yeah, this is the end of They only made 40 episodes of Power Rangers. It was this weird niche show in 1993 that ran for 40 episodes and then ended, and where
A
we've
very
reached
short
the
show.
end.
Yeah, no more seasons, no more extra episodes after this one.
Nope, definitely not.
This is the end.
This is it. But no, in reality, no, it's not. But it almost was.
It
So
almost was.
this episode is an interesting specimen. That being Doomsday, the two-parter that encompasses the 39th and 40th episode of the first season. This is also the closest thing to a season finale we are getting for the next like 2 or 3 seasons. So, and it's not even the end of the season.
No, but damn, did it hit hard.
It hit pretty hard, and we're here to talk about it. While I stall, while I pull up the wiki page, how have you been this past week, Nightster?
Oh, I'm trying to think about what happened this last week. Not much. Uh, went to London.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, I went on a little London cruise with my family. Went on a boat. That was fun.
That does sound fun. But you know what's even more fun?
Megazord Radio.
Megazord Radio, folks. Doomsday is, of course, the 39th and 40th episode. It's a two-parter. Seems they were both written and directed by the same people. Written by Stuart St. John, directed by Terrence H. Winkless, the Wink, of course. Back again, once again. Let's talk about it. So we start off. The Power Rangers are reading in the newspaper about the Power Rangers. And the mayor of Angel Grove has created Power Rangers Day, and they're throwing a big party in the park, and they're hoping that the Rangers will show up. And Kimberly's like, "Well, I think the Rangers might just show up. You think, guys?" And Jason's like, "It could happen, you know."
I mean, they will.
They just might. And meanwhile, Bulk and Skull also plan to attend and show up the Power Rangers because they're the superheroes, of course.
They're the
So
real stars of the show.
they're the real stars. It's true. But another attendee is making some plans, and that would be Rita and Co. They're in their palace. They've got a plan. And that plan is to bring the palace to Earth, which will increase her power and allow the palace to power Cyclopsis, which is an evil Zord that Goldar is going to pilot. So that's unfortunate for the Power Rangers. And on Power Rangers Day, how tragic.
Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed? And so we go to Angel Grove Park. Power Ranger party happens. The Rangers show up in their civilian clothes, looking to mingle and make sure people know that they were there, so that they don't deduce that they're the Power Rangers. Jason and
Plan.
Zach. Yeah, it makes sense. Jason and Zach show up first. Zach tries to ask Angela out. Angela says, "If you were a Power Ranger, I'd say yes in a second." And Zach dies internally in his soul and body.
He can't tell her that he is one.
Yeah. This is like I just rewatched Lab Rats Elite Force, and there's an episode where super in that universe, like, superheroes have to remain secret, like, no matter what. It's like a sacred code. So they have to tell everybody they're bionic because everybody already knows about the bionic people. So one of the superheroes' little brother shows up, and at first he does not admit that he has any superpowers, and then he uses the bionic excuse when he has to save his life. And the brother is not that impressed by his bionic abilities. He's like, "But it would be really cool if you were a superhero, though." And he's like, "Can you hear this kid? Seriously, can you hear this kid?" But yeah, so Zach gets rejected, but he takes it in somewhat of a stride, and he wants to morph so he can go impress Angela, of course. But they still got to mingle a little bit, and also the others aren't there yet, but they do show up pretty quick, and
They
everybody
do.
gathers. And Kimberly is a bit worried when she doesn't see Tommy, which I don't think that name has been spoken or that man has been seen since Green Candle.
That is
So
true.
I don't know what you're that worried about, Kimberly. It seems like he's pretty elusive in general.
I mean, it's not like that was, you know, um, forecast. No, not forecasting. That's the bloody weather. Um, foreshadowing anything.
Probably at his like uncle's lake house or whatever. That's what they say the next time he leaves. But this time he just like is gone for a while, and nobody says why.
On with no word.
So Bulk and Skull show up, and they hide in a photo booth, and they dress and they dress in superhero costumes. They become the Incredible Bulkster and Super Skull, which
Which which honestly made me laugh because Bulkster sounds a lot like my username Nightster.
true. You
I
could
was
be
like,
the Incredible Nightster,
oh my god, Bulk
and,
is me,
I'll be Super Riley.
the incredible Bulkster and Super Riley.
Okay. Yeah, great secret identities, guys. By the way, they have your first names in them. That's good.
And
And
Bulk has donuts on his costume.
they try to claim that they just moved to the city, even though their secret identity is Bulk and Skull is very easily clockable.
Yeah, it's not like it's in your name.
Yeah, they get up on stage, they give a speech, and there are kids in the audience. They're like, "Show us some of your superpowers, yeah!" And then they just start shadow boxing poorly.
Yeah, I'm doing these weird poses.
They do the Tommy Oliver special, but they are not capable of the moves that make the Tommy Oliver special work.
So they just kind of flop.
They just kind of flop around.
Everybody do a flop.
Everybody do the flop. So Rita, we cut back to Rita for a minute. She's doing a
Yeah.
thing. She's gonna steal Angel Grove's people and stick them in another dimension so that she
Again,
can. Yeah. Well, she's done that to the Power Rangers before. I don't know if she's done that to the people of Angel Grove before.
just different dimension stuff seems pretty frequent with Rita.
Yeah.
I love.
I have some good news for you. It's even more frequent with Zed.
Oh boy, our villains love
They
dimensions.
love dimensions. But anyway, so yeah, they teleport all of Angel Grove away except for the Power Rangers. And they're like, what the fuck happened?
Nani?
Nani? And Zordon calls them and is like, Rita took him. We gotta go downtown. Cyclopsis is there.
It was Rita, obviously. What the fuck you
Yeah.
asking me for?
You should have figured that out already, honestly, by pattern recognition at this point. So they morph, they teleport to Angel Grove downtown, and they summon the Megazord. They're fighting Cyclopsis. Goldar is piloting Cyclopsis, and the Megazord gets the shit kicked out of it. So they summon the Dragon Zord. They do a bunch of different modes and shit, and it's going bad for them. But then at the final hour, Titanus shows up, and the Rangers
Yeah.
they form the Ultra Zord, and they beat Cyclopsis. Episode over, guys. We did
Yeah.
it.
And the day is won.
Yay! But Cyclopsis's head falls onto the ground, still intact. Rita's pissed, so she kills Titanus.
Yeah. Straight up buries him.
Which we find out he's not dead, but we do see him go into the ground, and then we see an explosion happen inside of the ground. So I was convinced that Titanus was killed off until we find out later that he wasn't.
That's what I thought. I genuinely thought today that, you know,
Which would have
that was
confused me because like I don't remember necessarily the Ultrazord coming into play much more in season 1 in any important way that was worth me remembering. But Titanus does come back later, so I was like, "What the fuck?" But then he comes back next episode, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Man, Titanus coming back was so funny because Zord fights were literally just action figures. They 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 were in the studio and they're like, "Okay, what's something cool we could do for season 3?" And some guy was like, "Dude, check it out. The Ninja Megazord toy fits in the Titanus toy." And they were like, "Oh my god."
I think this was um another instance of you could really tell they were toys when
They were
Titanus was getting buried because he just looked
yeah.
so small.
But yeah, so Titanus isn't dead, but we think he is for a minute. Uh, and the Rangers do try to pull him out with the Mega Dragon Zord, but Rita blasts him away, and
Yeah,
Titanus
like
gets sucked in. And we're
it's
left
like
to
a joke.
believe that he's gone.
Yeah. Bye bye, Titanus.
Rip in peace. So Rita then summons Lokar. Remember Lokar from Island of Illusion? Here he is again.
He was
Um,
there last time he was around.
yeah, now suddenly he's important. Before he seemed pretty unimportant.
Was he really that important, to be honest?
Well, he does revive Cyclopsis, which
And
is
then
pretty important.
that was it. Apart from that, he just kind of
He shoots some
blah.
lightning at the Power Rangers. Like he's a presence who's threatening.
And he's never actually killed, is he? I don't remember them destroying him.
I think I think that Zordon like bullshits that Lokar is like tied to Cyclopsis somehow at some point.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I
because
think
they said if we
because they said
defeat
like beating
Lokar,
Cyclopsis means defeating Lokar and Rita, and they're like, and Zordon's like, yes, that is correct.
that's weird. But
It is weird, but that's Rangers, baby.
yeah,
so,
that's Rangers, baby.
so we go back to the command center. These Zords are all recharging from the battle, so they can't be used. Cyclopsis is back because of Lokar, and they're kind of a little bit fucked right now because the people of Angel Grove are trapped in an evil dimension, and if they don't save them, they might die or something. And we end on that cliffhanger that the Power Rangers are having it rough. And that's part
Yeah,
1. So
indeed.
let's talk about favorite character and favorite scene. Not ranking it yet because it's a two-parter, but the first two still apply. So Nightster, who's your favorite character?
My favorite character in this part was probably going to be Rita, because she really amped up the stakes in this episode.
That's fair. She definitely is coming to play this episode. Mine is more a character moment thing, and I'm gonna give it to Zach. I just think he was really charming in general this episode. I liked his struggle with Angela. I just
Yeah,
like out of the Power Rangers, his presence was the most enjoyable to me. I considered giving it to Bulk and or Skull because of Bulkster and Super Skull, but I think I'm gonna give it to Zach.
yeah, that's fair. Completely valid.
What's your favorite scene?
Favorite scene? I'm probably gonna give it to the scene where Bulkster and Super
Super
Skull
Skull.
get on stage.
It's a pretty good scene.
Like that was just really funny. So that's my favorite scene from the episode.
I think my favorite scene is also Zach getting rejected by Angela and internally dying because if she knew he was a Power Ranger, that wouldn't have happened.
And then it's just like, okay, Jace, can we morph now?
Yeah, let's morph right now, actually. Let's go. Let's morph right over there. Angela has a direct eye shot of that. What are you talking about? No, she doesn't.
She would literally find out that you're a ranger. No, she
No.
wouldn't. No. See, there is a tree to block her view.
Jack, that's a potted plant.
Tree.
Let's fucking talk about part 2.
Part two. Yeah. Oh, and look at me. Wasting this time on just ridiculous jokes.
I mean, we got to do some time wasting on ridiculous jokes to get the show to run the correct amount of time.
True. Yeah, I got to run for the hour mark somehow.
True. So part 2 starts bad. Rita's attacking the city. The Power Rangers are like, what do we do? And Zordon's like, not shit. Because the Zords don't work.
You do nothing. You useless pieces of dog shit.
All you have to do is nothing. It's nothing. Can you handle that, Ranger Blue? Oh, that's a different episode. Sorry. That's see you in 10 years for that one.
That sounds like something Dr. K would say to Flynn.
I'm exactly quoting something Dr. K said to Flynn.
Oh, fair enough.
I figured you would get that immediately when I said Ranger Blue, because no other Power Ranger has ever been referred to as Ranger Blank instead of Blank Ranger, but the RPM ones.
I kind of did, though.
You kind of did, in a way, but you were like, that's kind of like that. It's like, it is that, though. It's exactly
like
that.
That's kind of like the thing it actually is.
Yeah. But anyway, so they're trying to figure stuff out, and they're like, how long until the Zords are at full power? And the answer is 12 hours. And Jason steps up and he's like, then we're gonna have to take them in half power then. And Billy and Zordon are like, excuse me? And he's like, we got no choice. And everybody kind of slowly agrees. And Zordon's like, are you sure? Because if the backups fail, the whole morphing grid is going to be destroyed. The backups fail and it doesn't get destroyed. But he's like, it's going to get destroyed if you fuck up. And Jason's like, we don't have any other choice. We're the only hope for the people of Angel Grove who are trapped in Rita's evil dimension. Because even though they're safe right now, which is something that Zordon recently confirmed that I forgot to mention, we don't know how long they're going to be safe. So we need to get out there. So they do. And Megazord fights Cyclopsis and immediately gets its fucking arm cut off.
That was brutal. They just
Holy shit.
he just tore off its arm. That's like something you'd see in like Kamen Rider Amazon.
This is like, I forgot about this scene. There's a similar Zord brutalization later that I have like PTSD about. But this one I had almost forgotten about, and yeah, this one's pretty bad too.
And there's one more piece later in this episode that happens, and both times I was like, what the shit?
Yeah. So the Megazord's getting the shit kicked out of it, especially with only one arm. So Jason calls Dragon Zord, but it's low on power, and Cyclopsis cuts its tail off.
That's what we're talking about, yeah. The tail just gets sliced off.
So yeah,
like
real bad for the Power Rangers.
He's mutilating the Zords.
Which I guess later we find out that that's maybe not actually what's happening.
Well, I think that is what's happening, but then...
Oh, it's afterward. Okay, I know what I get it now. So yeah, the Dragon Zord and Megazord are down. Rita's about to blow them up with the staff. And then the Rangers, the Zords disappear piece by piece as the Rangers evacuate. And they end up back in the park where the Power Rangers Day decorations are up. but it's of course deserted because the people are gone. And Jason's like, "Oh shit, the Zords," and Billy's like, "Actually, that's fine. It was a security thing. The Zords are fine."
Yeah.
So
I wonder
that's
how Billy knew.
anticlimactic.
Like, I don't understand if Zordon knew, but how did Billy know?
Well, I assume Billy helped because
Oh yeah, good point.
technology.
I keep forgetting that Billy, like, actually helps with Zord construction. Like, I know
Yeah,
he's smart, but I keep forgetting he's that smart.
he's extremely smart. It will, in fact, be all he does in a few seasons.
True.
Yeah, Billy's actually still useful to them without powers, unlike Tommy, who's not allowed in the command center anymore. I was honestly pissed that Tommy was not in the command center in that last scene.
Yeah.
Like, they even make a point to be like, in at part one, like, maybe Tommy feels bad about getting left out. Then fucking let him come to the command center when you're having your little powwow.
Yeah, that pissed me off.
Yeah. But regardless, so the Rangers can't contact Zordon in Alpha because the communicator signal is jammed by
Single.
Rita. Single. The communicator single is jammed. Uh,
It's jamming it.
is
And they dropped a
jamming.
single.
They dropped the communicator. My new favorite band. Hell yeah! It's just like it's just that, but with different instruments.
Remix to different like beats
It's
and
like
shit.
this is the metal version, and it's like or it's like or it's piano. It's like it's just like different instruments for each track. Xylophone. Tink 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 tink.
Uh, the communicators down. Fuck.
Yeah, it's true. So Billy's like, I might have the equipment at my garage to fix them up. And Jason's like, all right, let's go. We gotta go. So they go to Billy's garage. Billy starts
This seems
fiddling.
to me,
This scene was kind of crazy because it's really the first time we see Billy's garage get attacked.
and it's kind of weird because Goldar shows up with putties, and it makes you think, oh, there's going to be a fight in the garage, but then right away they just teleport.
Yeah,
Like, what was the point?
I thought you see this happens in like they're setting up here something that is very common in Power Ranger season finales. It's not the command center per se, but I would call Billy's Garage like a secondary command center, a secondary base. And it's setting up for the trope in Power Rangers finales where there is a fight in the base that results in the base getting fucking destroyed. But
Yeah,
that's not what happens because Billy immediately fixes the communicators and they just teleport away after Goldar gets there.
and Goldar teleports away, so he doesn't even wreck the place.
Well, there's no need to anymore. That would just be rude.
Well, there you go. That's the need. Be rude and be petty.
Yeah. Well, he broke a bunch of his experiments by running his sword across the table. He did some damage.
It is some damage, but not much.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what happens essentially. We recapped that scene in kind of a weird order, but yeah, they get to the garage. Goldar shows up, but Billy is able to fix the stuff before Goldar can actually do anything to them, and they teleport to the command center. But meanwhile, though, a scene that I forgot just before this is we do go back to the command center. Obviously, Alpha's trying to contact the Power Rangers, but he can't. But what he does find is that because Rita's palace is on Earth, he's able to hack her better. Because I guess his hacking signal just couldn't go up to the moon. But now that Rita's on Earth, he can hack her.
Get a Sig. Okay, there we go.
So they hack Rita, and that's how they are going to find some weaknesses in order to stop her. Which thankfully they did do that because Jason's only like plan was like, well, we got to get to the command center, and then we got to hope Zordon has a plan, because if he doesn't, then we're fucked.
Yeah, that's kind of
So thankfully, Zordon does have a plan, because they do some hacking into Rita's computer system. They figure out Cyclopsis's weakness, which is that it adapts when it fights, but it can't do that like fast. So if you just keep like switching around,
gotta go
you'll
fast.
yeah, you just gotta go fast, and then it'll fuck them up. So that's the game plan. They tell the Power Rangers that the swords are ready to go somehow, even though it's only been like an hour max. I feel like when before it took 12.
Yeah.
But you know, that's Rangers, baby. We know.
You know, like that's just how it goes. If things
Uh,
make sense, they don't. That's
that's
the
right.
rule.
So yeah, they morph, they get in the Zords again, and it's pretty quick. They now that they know his weakness, it really does not take that long. They're Megazord first, and then once Megazord starts getting beat up, they're Dragonzord battle mode, and that kind of puts Cyclopsis on the back foot. But then once battle mode kind of gets beat up a little bit, they do Ultrazord because Titanus comes back at the perfect time, and that's it. It's over.
Fight is
Actually, this
over,
time.
and everyone from Angel Grove gets teleported back to the gathering center for Power Rangers Day.
Yep, everybody's back. They're like, "Oh, I'm back." Bulk and Skull start kissing the ground. Skull is accidentally kissing his cape the first couple kisses, and then realizes
Yep.
his error and corrects it. uh, and everybody's like, "Get off the stage, idiots!" And they're like, "Look, it's the Power Rangers!" And the Power Rangers are in the back of the crowd. And maybe it was before this actually, the little scene, which I would like to apologize for slandering the character of Tommy Oliver, because I remembered this scene slightly different, and I've described it the way I remembered it on the show before. Not that it would necessarily be a bad thing were the scene to have happened my way. It would just be like a silly joke. But this makes it like into a wholesome moment. Because what I thought was, I remember the kids arguing and being like, the Red Ranger's the best one. No, the Blue Ranger. And what I thought Tommy came in and said was, let me let you in on a secret. The Green Ranger is actually the best one. Uh,
I thought he was gonna say that as well, to be honest.
yeah. But no, instead he says they're all super awesome, of course. So it's a beautiful, wholesome moment. The Power Rangers show up, they go through the crowd, give people high fives and shit. They particularly each linger on Tommy and give him like a high five handshake and shoulder pat and shit. So Tommy is at least acknowledged in that way. But
Which is nice, but
you'd
it's
think they'd come into the crowd at the end and be like, "Yo, Tommy, you want to join us for the fucking for the final meeting here?" Since you happen
I
to be around and you probably feel excluded.
I understand why they didn't do that, and that's why I said it's risky that they gave him so much attention, because otherwise you're kind of outing him as someone to do with the Rangers,
Yeah, I guess.
because he's not a Ranger anymore, but he was one.
But like the
Uh,
Rangers could be doing crowd work, and then Jason gives Tommy a little like subtle hand motion, like "Yo."
I randomly pick this person to join us on the stage, and it's Tommy.
Who wants to come on the stage? Everybody, raise your hands. That guy over there.
Not any of the kids that would love to meet their heroes. No, that random guy over there.
I mean, they're teenagers are still kind of kids.
True. But they're still like little kids that would want to meet
Yeah,
him.
yeah. But yeah, so they go back to the command center afterward after their big celebration. We see the five of them now unmorphed and facing Zordon. Zordon is congratulating them for a job well done. And then the tone kind of shifts and he's like, "Well, now Rangers, you've got a choice to make. because you've done more than I could possibly ask you to do. You've gone way above the Call of Duty. The threat night might be fully gone, but it's really neutered. So if you guys want to go back to your regular lives, you have that choice now. And they're all like, no, we're not doing that. We kind of go down the line, and they're like, no, they're still villains, they're still bad guys, we still have to protect the city. You chose us because we're like strong and brave, and we're not going to back down. And then Zach's the last one to speak, and he's like, so in other words, you're stuck with us.
Yeah.
Which is great, which is a sweet moment to end it on. And Zordon's like, I appreciate you, Power Rangers. You are Earth's greatest warriors, or whatever. And they put their hands in and they do Power Rangers, and we freeze frame. Of course, that seems to be how all the important episodes end, which I don't hate.
Yeah, I mean, it. At first, I thought it was a bit cringe, but it's kind of like
It
a
grows
nice
on
little.
you,
It grows on you, yeah,
and that's Doomsday Part 2
and that is Doomsday.
and Doomsday in general. So who's your favorite character in Part 2?
I'm gonna say Jason because I feel like he steps up the most out of the Rangers
Yep,
when
I
it
was
comes
also
to
gonna say Jason. He's the one
yeah,
who's like, we're taking the Zords at half power. We can't wait 12 hours.
yeah.
And
But we're not
the other
going
Rangers
on.
do join him, but he's the one who leads the charge. So
Yeah, it was a great Jason as Red Ranger episode. I feel like.
for sure. And then what was your favorite scene?
I have to give it to Tommy and the kids.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I'm personally gonna give it to the final scene, where the Power Rangers choose to continue being Power Rangers.
That's a good one
But
too.
the close second is that Tommy scene. I agree.
It was
And hold on, I'm doing something. Give me 1 second, and then I will put the characters on the thing, and then we will rank the episode.
okay.
Okay, now we can rank it. And Nightster, is this episode better than Different Drum?
I need to put unrank. I don't know why I didn't do this before, but I need to.
Different Drum, Different Drum is number 3. It's right behind the green episodes.
Oh, I think it might be.
I think it is better than Different Drum, but I don't think it's better than Green with Evil. I think
No,
better
I
than Different
think
Drum
Green
is
with
where it
Evil
ends.
number one still.
Well,
So
Green with Evil is number 2, if you recall. Green Candle's number 1.
can I stopped ranking them on my own list.
Well, that was silly of you.
Yeah,
I'll just share the list I already have with you. Don't even need to have your own list. That was that was
That was a
extenuous in
dumb
the first
idea.
place.
That was a dumb idea on my part. Why did I
Yeah,
do that?
yeah. I'll just
Like,
share the list I'm already keeping with you.
you just share me the link. I can just look at it.
Yeah. So, so that part is fixed. But coming in at the new number 3 is Doomsday. Now, what I want to ask you, Nightster. So the
Okay.
episode wouldn't have been the same, but from what I'm told, it would have been pretty similar. I know there was also an early draft where it was completely different, but I think those two things existed separately. I think there was the original draft, which was, I don't know all the details. Maybe if I pull the wiki article back up, it's in the trivia section, which I will do once I'm done fixing the ranking list to have the correct numbers. But if I recall correctly, originally Cyclopsis was going to be piloted by a new character who was Rita's son, and that was going to be like the big, like, final big bad, I guess. His name was going to be Kai, which is funny because there was a Power Ranger named Kai a little bit later.
Lost Galaxy.
A terrible season that we're going to have to slog through.
Yep.
Sorry, not sorry, Lost Galaxy fans. I know it's got a lot of stands out there, but that season's bad. I'm sorry to tell you.
I appreciate some characters in it. Like, come to think of
But
it, mostly just the girls.
I actually appreciate pretty much the whole Ranger team. Like, I guess Kai's sort of nothing. is the only problem I have with any of the other team members, besides the big red sore thumb that sticks out, that is Leo, who sucks bad. And Lost Galaxy has the problem that people say Mystic Force has falsely, in that it focuses way too much on the Red Ranger.
Force
And
does
the Red
focus on.
Ranger sucks balls.
I like Mystic Force, but it does focus a bit too heavily on Nick. You
Maybe a
can't.
little, but I don't think any more so than most other seasons.
More so than Lost Galaxy, I feel like.
I don't think so. Cause like I think from like 2001, from Time Force to like RPM to right before RPM. So I guess Jungle Fury then. From Time Force to Jungle Fury, I feel like it was like the Red Ranger was the main character and the other Power Rangers were side characters. Like obviously to different extremes. Like Time Force still gave the others somewhat of a focus. Obviously, Jen more so than the other three, but they still all got some things. But just as the show progressed in that particular era, I feel like it was extremely Red Ranger centric.
Yeah, guess that's a fair point.
And I guess since Lost Galaxy, with the exception of Lightspeed Rescue, because I feel like Lightspeed Rescue wasn't particularly Carter focused.
Yeah, not really. I felt like it was more Dana focused, if anything.
No,
Which,
because they kind of it's more Mitchell focused, but once Ryan shows up, they kind of throw Dana in the trash.
yeah, but for a while, Dana was the only Mitchell Ranger.
Yeah, that's true. That it's kind of mostly focused on Dana until Ryan shows up, and they just throw her directly into the trash. And then when Ryan's away, I think they're pretty good at splitting the focus, and then Ryan comes back.
I really like Dana as a character.
I do too. She's definitely my favorite Ranger in that season, and I'm very
Same.
excited to talk about her when we get there in I'm gonna say 3 years. Lightspeed Rescue.
Maybe. I'm not good at math, so I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure the whole show, if we do it in the exact pace we're doing it, which we're not taking the difference, a lot of other shows will do hiatuses between seasons. We're not doing that because fuck you. So we're we just do the recap and then we move right on to the next season. So given that pace, I think we can finish all of Power Rangers in like probably like 12 years, if I remember the math that Crow Royalty did correctly. So given that, I imagine we'll be at Lightspeed, which is a pretty early season, within like 2 or 3.
12 years.
Yeah, it's a long journey. There's almost 1,000 episodes of Power Rangers, Nightster.
This is going to be a 12-year show.
More than that, they're making more Power Rangers now.
True.
We're
And
gonna have
you
the
guys
Disney
are in
Plus
for
show to
a ride.
cover.
If they actually make it, because last time they announced the Power Rangers show, it never actually got made.
That is true, which I don't know if you've heard about this, Nightster, but there's been some leaks about. And we now know both the plot of the Power Rangers reboot that got thrown away, and potentially we also know the plot of the Power Rangers reboot that they're making now.
Oh, regale me. Let me know the plot.
So I guess take the Disney Plus one with a grain of salt. I'm pretty sure the canceled reboot information comes directly from that canceled reboot's director, so that's real. But I don't know what the source is on the new reboot. But the canceled reboot sounded like maybe it would have had some awesome fight scenes, but other than that, would have been stupid. Because first of all, I know it would have had awesome fight scenes because it was directed by fucking Jonathan Entwistle, who's directing the new Karate Kid movie. And if you've seen any of the fight choreography in that new Karate Kid movie, we're washed for not letting that guy direct Power Rangers.
I can understand that.
But the plot, if I remember right, I don't have it pulled up, but it was maybe I can just pull it up. Let me look it up because I don't want to be stupid and say the incorrect thing. Jonathan Entwistle, Power Rangers. Okay, so here's the quote from this is the Reddit post from Jonathan Entwistle. He was doing an Ask Me Anything on Reddit for the Karate Kid movie, it looks like, and somebody asked him about the Power Ranger reboot. So here's what he said. From as early as 2018, I had created an entire new universe for Power Rangers. Kind of a multiverse, and then in parentheses, it was very fashionable back then, haha. I wasn't doing MMPR specifically, but Tommy Oliver was the center of the world. All the mythology was surrounding him being one of the most important people in the universe, because we all know what he would become. So it's basically a time-bending, huge story about stopping Draken from taking power over everything. The TV series had a kind of really cool King Arthur vibe that was the angle, more mystical and magical to start us off with. Jenny Klein, who was writing that show, also came up with a very, very cool idea for sentient colors. But alas, it never went anywhere, which sucks. I would have loved to make that universe a reality. And you know, I'm kind of glad you didn't, Johnny.
Me too. I mean, I like Tommy, but that's a bit much.
The one thing is, like, I also remember hearing some other things about how Tommy was going to betray them, like he was going to be a villain ultimately. And it, like, probably the Tommy we were following was going to become Draken, is what I assume is that. And like there probably would have been some cool fight scenes, both because of Jonathan Entwistle and because we would have finally got to see Draken in motion and on screen.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't like the plot. I don't like King Arthur vibes or sentient colors. I'm gonna say bullet dodged on that one.
Indeed.
And then
Like,
let me see if I can find the plot leak for the new one. So give me stall the audience for a moment while I look into that.
okay, so break in. We got.
Oh, I meant to ask you a hypothetical earlier, and I never actually asked it. I got
Oh,
distracted in the middle of asking it. So given that this episode, imagining that it would have been fairly similar, except at the end, Zordon would have given them the choice and just said, "Your duty as Power Rangers is done. Goodbye." How would you feel if this was the end of Power Rangers? Like how in that hypothetical universe, how would you feel about the 40 episode show that is Power Rangers that never happened again?
uh, I would not be too fond of it. I don't think because um, I imagine they would have found a way to get Rita and Zed all defeated by new Ranger teams, but still, it kind
It's
of
a
feels
it's
a pre
underwhelming.
like and this would have felt like a premature ending in
Yeah,
my. So I'm glad that they kept it going.
for sure. And I think I was getting close, and then I accidentally closed the Twitter account I was scrolling through. So now I have to start scrolling again.
Oh boy.
And this is
Uh,
from Twitter user Jin Saku, which I've heard varying things about how credible he is. So take it with a grain of salt, but it's still interesting. Getting there.
so in short,
Okay,
it's possible, but it's
here we
not
go.
guaranteed.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed, but this is possibly a plot week. Okay. This is the pitch that was made to 20th Century Fox. Or 20th Century Studios now cuz Disney owns them. Uh when a small town is rocked by a series of bizarre time anomalies, people vanishing, memories changing, and fragments of futuristic tech appearing, a group of misfits and outsiders are drawn to the center of it all, a forgotten facility buried beneath the town. They're chosen to become the first Power Rangers team in decades, but the world doesn't remember that the Rangers ever existed. And that's the end of the plot, and then that's the end of the pitch, and then it goes into some more detail. The series was pitched as a mystery detective style story and a soft reboot with other seasons of the franchise still canon from a distance, and the show will also explore the backstory and origin of the Morphin Grid. It'll be a bigger budget TV show for Disney Plus and Hulu, with a story planned over multiple seasons. This I like a lot more.
I do like it, yeah. Whole memory shifting. It's like it's actually starting from scratch.
Which I feel like they've accidentally played with that before, with like the beginning of Ninja Storm, where they're like, Power Rangers aren't real. Or like the middle of Lightspeed Rescue when a lady says monsters don't exist. That's
Monsters
particular.
don't
That's
exist.
so egregious. This little girl's like, I saw a monster. And the old lady's like, there's no such thing as monsters. Are you fucking serious, bro?
Dealing with monsters attacking different towns for fucking years now.
And including Mariner Bay. This was not an early episode of Lightspeed Rescue.
Oh my god, it was a later episode.
This is the Lost Galaxy crossover.
What the Mariner Bay has been attacked so many times now by monsters. How are you still saying that monsters aren't real? Oh,
That's
was
Rangers,
amazing.
baby.
That's Rangers, baby.
And to answer my own hypothetical, you kind of it's looking at it in a way of scope. Like obviously, Power Rangers wouldn't be as near of a hyperfixation for me as it is now had it ended at Doomsday. But if it ended at Doomsday and I discovered it, I probably would have still been a big fan. Like looking at it objectively, like I would have enjoyed that story from beginning to end. But the thing is, I would have been clamoring for more. And in this hypothetical universe, I wouldn't get it. But I still would have enjoyed it as it was up until this point. But it definitely would have felt like some potentials were being missed.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm looking at the wiki article to see if there's any notes about the old plot here. Trying to find because it's like I don't know. I can't find it. It was like it's Rita's son instead of Goldar. Maybe they actually defeat Rita at the end and they lose their powers, but the executives last minute were like, "We're not ending this fucking show. It's making us billions of dollars. You better fucking fix that script so it's not an ending because we're making 20 more episodes even this season, and you're getting more seasons." So yeah, that's it for Doomsday. And I'm excited for what's this. This feels like a sort of like ending milestone, even though it's technically not. Like it feels like kind of it really is the start of a new era because this is the end of the Jew Ranger footage. It's all Jew 2 from here. The footage they commissioned to make more Power Rangers.
Yeah, so the new era of Mighty Morphin begins now with Jew 2.
And a newer era will begin in about 20 episodes. But folks, that's about it. Nightster, where can our listeners find you?
You can find me on my solo channel Nightster, or you can find me, Riely, and some other friends on our collaborative channel, Toku Thrill, where we discuss Power Rangers, Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Ultraman.
So soon there will be a video about Gojuger, now that I've forced Nightster at gunpoint to watch Gojuger.
He pointed a gun at me. Please help. I am in.
Yeah, I flew to fucking the UK with a gun that I'm not supposed to have in the UK, and I knocked on Nightster's door, and I actually killed his family. He doesn't have a family anymore because they wouldn't let me in with the gun, so I had to get rid of them. I went up to his room and I was like, "You better watch that fucking Gojuger right now, boy."
Boy.
Boy. You better watch that Gojuger, boy.
And that's why this episode of the show didn't have me having a lunch break, because I didn't have anyone in the family to cool me down.
Yeah, because
They
they're
were
all
gone.
dead. So it's a new era of Nightster, the living alone era.
All by myself.
Now Doctor Who is my dad. Or mom, depending on the season.
Oh god, I am the Jenny of the show.
All right, Nightster, where can our listeners find you?
We just did that part.
Wait,
Where
did
can they
we?
find you?
Shit. linktr.ee/Riely Cinematic Universe. That's Riely. Cinematic Universe, podcast, YouTube channels, none of which contain Crow royalty anymore, which is why they're not here today. I forgot to explain that. I'm sure you guys didn't miss them too much. But you know.
Explain that.
Yeah, we did say they were gonna be here. There has since been some drama that I've already gotten into on my shows that are more about drama, so I won't get into here. But
Watch those
you,
shows if you want to find
you're
out more.
probably never gonna see Crow royalty on this show again. You know, who knows what the future may hold? This is gonna be a long ass fucking podcast, but as of now, don't expect them again anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, a few years ago, Riley and I thought that we'd never properly talk again, and here
That's
we are
true. So you never know.
hosting a show together. So you never know.
You never know. But folks, I want to thank you again for listening to Megazord Radio. I've been Riely.
I've been Nightster.
And until next time, we're morphing out of here. It's
Morphin time.
time.